Healthcare, comparing healthcare in Spain with healthcare in the United States, according to the experience of an American couple, family of 6. They explain how much they pay, how well it has worked for them so far or not, how much they would pay in the United States, how much their 65-year-old mother pays as well when looking into this. Folks, give me a second here before we go on. It is totally worth it because I think we can always learn from these things, but a few disclaimers first. You do you. As I've said multiple times, if you're happy wherever it is that you are, I'm happy in Canada, in US, in Panama, in Argentina, in Spain, in Denmark, wherever it is. You don't need to change a thing. That's perfectly fine. It is still always nice, always good to have an idea of how things work elsewhere so as to know how much you're getting for your bang per buck. This is also something that translates into something that I don't see mentioned all that much, which is in education. It's kind of the same thing in terms of how much you get for what you're already paying out of the taxman that comes after you every single month, right? So these are all things that you need to take into account. Nothing is perfect. Something else that needs to be said. If you think that healthcare is perfect in any country, you're simply wrong. You will see horror stories in multiple places, in pretty much all places. That does not mean that is everything all the same. That does not mean that some places are honestly just better off in terms of what you get, how much you pay for it, and how good it works for you. Okay, maybe different for someone else. As always, if you want to learn about survival and preparedness, which is this very much about, you have the books 3 Survival Skills, Surviving the Economic Collapse, based on the experience of going through just that in Argentina, and something that a lot of Americans are waking up to, given the tariff war that you see slowly creep into your pocket, into your budget. And specifically about this sort of stuff, bugging out and relocating, another book of mine that you have in Amazon, in the links there below. You have the audio books, and I'm working on some other stuff too. Enough said, let's get to this.
Hey everyone, Mike and Aubrey here from
Simplify Abroad. Help the guys out in their channel. Is a channel that's getting started, so yeah, I'll leave the link there for you to follow them.
Simplify Abroad. And for this week's video, we had another request actually for healthcare in Spain. And so any Europeans, anyone pretty much not American watching this, please don't laugh at us too much. Obviously, we're in shock being from America and our health system versus what you get here in Spain. So again, if you're new to this video channel, first one you're seeing, like, subscribe. It helps boost the video a little bit, helps us, keep kind of doing these videos for everyone. If you have any videos you want done, please comment below. We'll try and get it done just like we did this one.
Yeah,
but
of course.
Healthcare in Spain, I will kind of let my wife start off with this.
Yeah, so before moving here and before applying for your visa, you have to pay for a full year in advance coming from the United States.
Yep.
I don't know what it's like coming from other places around the world, but for our visa requirement, you have to have it paid for the whole year.
Yep.
And so for our family of 6 was, I think, $2,800 for the whole year, and that includes everything.
Yep.
And we do get 15, they call it acts here, and that could be anywhere. Like if you had a procedure done and you were in the hospital for weeks, a couple weeks.
$2,800 for a family of 6 full year. The Spanish government requires you, if you're going to stay there, pay all of that in advance so as to know that you're covered if you have, so as to not be a burden on the Spanish taxpayer that's already covered in the public sector, okay?
That is only one act, because it's like just one actual stay. And each person in our family gets 15 of those.
Yep.
And I know that like for children, like their annual checkups, that's completely free anyways. That does not count towards your 15. Yep.
These little things, she just mentioned that those little things, those are very often key. Those are things that are like mandatory. Those are things that are regulated, which is the private healthcare provider in Spain sits down and says, okay, we're going to charge, and some bureaucrat somewhere said, no. You can't charge a family for having a checkup once a year. Once a year checkup, that's something that needs to be included. It is how this thing works, guys. If you don't have someone negotiating on your behalf, you will get screwed. And I'm not talking on your personal level. I'm talking about someone in the evil government, right? One of those bureaucrats. But this is so important for people. You need someone that's going to say, no, you can't put that in food. Why not? Because it's poison. Oh, but it's cheap and people eat it. and free market. Well, yeah, free market is awesome, but my job is to make sure you're not poisoning these poor bastards. So no, but you're such a bureaucrat. Well, yeah, that's what he is. He's a bureaucrat, but a bureaucrat that does his job properly is going to look after your well-being, your best interest when negotiating in your behalf, right? That bureaucrat that talks with a private healthcare provider says, no, you cannot do this. Oh, who do you think you are? Well, I'm the guy that decides if you do business here or not. So you cannot charge this much for medication. If not, we won't allow you to sell it in our country or in our European Union thing. These are all things that people don't think of it that way. They think, oh, they're just... Well, sometimes they are there to screw you. Sometimes, every once in a while, very rarely, but every once in a while, there's someone that is going to make sure you're not ripped off when you get sick.
So, I mean, that's a lot. I mean, last year I used, I don't think any, maybe one.
Another key thing, they're paying $2,800. Oh, that is super cheap. Fernando, for a family of 6, that is pretty much free, right? Well, no, it's $2,800. And she says, you have like 15 events where you can, and no one gets hit by a bus 15 times a year or gets sick 15 times a year. It's going to be very rare, right? But she mentioned something that is also crucial, which is she's paying for something that, honest to God, if she's lucky, she's not going to even want to use. You don't want to go to a doctor if you don't need it, right? But there's also a massive difference between what the average American thinks, which is, oh, fuck, I have to go to a doctor because I'm not feeling well, but it's going to be expensive. So I'll just hold. I'll just hope, fingers crossed I start feeling better. That sucks.
Ear infection.
Yeah.
I mean, he used a few. The kids tops 5 max per person.
Yeah.
And that was like, anytime they said, "Oh, I don't feel well," I'm like, "All right, we're going to the doctor." Like, you don't have to think about it like you did in the United States. You're like, "Are you sure?
Yeah.
Is it something that we go to the doctor for?"
Yeah.
Because we didn't want to pay hundreds of dollars every time we went to the doctor.
Yep.
No one does. No.
All I can say, just to add to that, we did get our renewal, so we're now here for another 2 years. My mom looks like she's going to move to Spain as well. We got a quote to add her onto us. She is 65, 66. I don't remember what she is.
She's about to be 65.
There you go. She was $1,200.
$1,200 a year for a 65-year-old woman. That's an older woman. I mean, you still have a beautiful life ahead of you, ma'am, for sure. But 65 years old, you're not a spring chicken anymore. And that is fairly affordable. That is fairly affordable for something that is honestly really going to cover pretty much everything. And there's always going to be, oh, but you have no idea. There's always going to be some Spanish guy that pops in and says, oh, but dude, you have no idea how bad it is for these people. You have no idea how bad it is for a 65-year-old woman. That is pretty much, I've seen people cry when realizing that they could finally, I've told this story, it was only once, I tell this story all the time, but I've actually seen an American cry in a hospital when they realized that they could get treatment that they could not afford in their own country, and that kind of shocks you, like, wow, that's, anyway.
By herself. Our family is 6, I think I'm the oldest, I'm 35, 36, something like that. Everyone else is younger, obviously. We were $2,800. My mom was $1,200 by herself.
There you go.
She's...
And the numbers they're saying are kind of average, given what I know of the cost for these things. It's kind of correct. That's basically what you're going... This is private. They're not talking about public health care. If it had been that these people were like living and also working there and... Well, they have a visa, but if they're like in the social system, and that would have been the public health care, which is also included with whatever social security they have to pay if they're like working in the country, right? Visa for just living there. If you're not working there, that's what they have to pay.
It's the same 15 acts, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's insane to me. I don't want to give our exact number, but I can tell you we were almost paying more a month. Well, I'm sorry, we got quoted more a month if we were going to be this if we didn't move to Spain. than what we pay annually for our entire family, and we're going to pay that monthly in the States.
It's crazy.
And have
it's
to
all
pay
about
deductible,
co-pays,
yeah,
all that type of stuff. So I want to touch on a story real quick
because that's paying the monthly, paying what it costs a year, and then you have to add on top of the co-pays, all of the bullshit that when something actually happens to you, you still have to pay thousands and thousands of dollars. Now, this is a story of him having hepatitis, I believe.
I actually use the healthcare here. I got appendicitis. Randomly, and it was funny because it was probably like 6 months into our stay here, maybe 7 months, and I was still like, my side was sore for a couple of days, and we were literally like, no, it's okay. I'm like, I'm not that bad. I'll just take ibuprofen. But like how Aubrey kind of mentioned, like that mentality, like, shit, I don't want to pay for this, right? Basically.
There you go.
And so finally, I couldn't take it one day. I was like going delirious. Aubrey took me into the ER, and they took a CAT scan, MRI. They did something right away, and they're like, hey, your stuff is inflamed. You got to stay here. I stayed 5 or 6 days. I got CAT scans, MRIs, X-rays, IV, food. I had a massive suite. This hotel room, this hospital room. Yeah, it felt like a hotel room. Hospital room was bigger than our master bedroom. Had couches, it had beds, like it had like had a desk to like do work. Like our kids would hang out there, draw.
That's the advantage of private. If you go with a public healthcare system in Spain, which is what 99% of Spanish people do, you don't have any couches or suites or anything like that because it's the public thing, which is that they will take care. And there's people that for certain things prefer public instead of private. What private has is going to be a little bit quicker. And if you're hospitalized, you're going to have a somewhat of a nicer room, or at the very least a private room. In public, it's probably not going to be a case. You're going to be in a room with someone else, which is okay. I mean, that's part of having it as cheap as possible for everyone that is paying into the thing through a public system. But in private, that's the advantage. Mostly if you are hospitalized, having your own room.
I was there 5 or 6 days. Every scan imaginable. They actually gave me a ton of medicine, so something weird I didn't know. I thought they were just going to give me surgery and cut it out of me.
Yeah,
Here,
that's
they actually
weird.
treat you with antibiotics or inflammation medicine first, and if it doesn't go down after 4 or 5 days, then they cut it out of you. But I guess with most people, if you just treat it with something, it does. Maybe the U.S. does this now. I have no idea. I thought they were just going to cut me open and yank it out. And to wrap this story up, I was there 5 or 6 days, emergency room visit, MRI, CAT scan, all those things I mentioned before. I just want to keep saying those things because if you're from America, you understand what that costs.
Yes, and you don't get them.
And you don't, straight up, And when it was time for me to leave, they're like, all right,
go.
Yeah, you're good to go. They took out my IVs,
Get the
everything.
fuck out of here.
I was like, oh, like, do you need my billing address or anything? They're like, no. I was like, do you need my TA card, which is basically like a driver's license, my passport?
Yeah.
I said, do you need anything from me? They're like, no, like, we got your insurance card already. Like, you're completely free to go.
Yeah.
I was like, phone number, like I literally kept asking them because I felt like they were gonna come after me. You know what I mean? Like I felt like I was somehow stealing from them.
That's
and the police were gonna
crazy.
come knock on my door, like how you like dine and dash almost.
That's crazy. The American mentality in terms of healthcare, like I feel I'm stealing from someone if I don't allow them to rip me off for $50,000 at the very least. This is the idea of freedom, guys. This is freedom in terms of healthcare in US. If you're not ripping me off, I'm stealing from. No, you already paid for it. You paid $2,800 a year, and as your wife said, last year you didn't use it at all. This time you happen to need it, and probably you won't need it for years to come, other than maybe some check for the kids and whatnot. But you're paying for it. You're not ripping anyone off. It's just you're used to being ripped off yourself. That's why it's so crazy.
And they're like, you are completely free to go. You owe nothing.
Bye.
My private insurance didn't bill me anything. They're like, and if you have any pain, just call an ambulance next time and have them bring you to us, and we'll just cut it out. That was like their thing. Like, if you feel pain in 2 weeks, the antibiotics didn't take perfectly.
Yeah, don't be an idiot. Don't stay in your house dying for something that we can fix you in within the day. You know, we just cut you open, remove this, and you're done. But it's a different mentality, man. This is a big deal, right? I know it's not everything in life being healthcare, but for people with kids, at least it is a big deal.
Call an ambulance, bring it to it, we'll cut out.
Anyway, guys, don't want to make this super long. You get where I'm going with this. It's just the way it is. Keep it in mind and consider it for, whatever situation you're in life. Take care. See you next time.